This is Smarter San Diego TV.
Here is what they don't want you to know.
Owning a home is the cornerstone of any good financial plan or retirement strategy. I mean, that's the real reason we buy real estate.
You've got to be smarter if you want to be successful. That's what this show is. This is going to blow your mind. You're going to share this with everyone you know.
I guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else.
If you do nothing else in your lifetime to save for retirement other than own your home free and clear, you're going to be okay.
And now, here's your host, Derek Evans.
Welcome to Smarter San Diego TV. This is the place right here, of course, where you get smarter. And it's all commercial free. My co-host today, Rebecca Peters. Rebecca, what's up?
Hello, how are you doing, Derek?
Beck, your
Beck.
new nickname.
Yes.
You're okay with that?
I'm all right with that.
I know it's a band and a beer, so it can't be that bad.
No, absolutely not. Sounds like a good time, right?
Okay, fantastic. And you're a great time, by the way, so it fits perfectly. Today's show, very interesting guest today. Interesting subject matter. Going to debate a little bit later. But we're kicking things off with Elizabeth's story today.
Yes, and she is bringing in a very special guest from Hearst Elementary to talk about Red Ribbon Week.
The principal,
Yes.
who is your pal, in case you want to know how to spell that, because I had to write it out a few times, and I actually remembered that silly thing, principal.
Principal, yes.
Now you're principally.
Yep.
So Jamie Jorgensen is here with Elizabeth's story. We'll
Yep.
talk about Hearst Elementary, what's going on there, Red Ribbon Week, all the cool stuff they do there at Hearst. And then, of course, tie in how that is helping homeowners in that area of Del Cerro
Yes.
to maintain property values and et cetera.
Right.
Correctamundo. Very excited today to have Melissa Bobrow on the show.
Ooh, yes. Nice controversial issue that we have coming
Yes.
up.
And you know, we see this happen a lot. Now you're from, were you born here?
Nope.
You
I
were
was
born
across the pond.
across the pond.
Yep.
All right. Now over there they have like no guns, or like no, you can't have a gun. No one has guns. It's not possible. Here we have guns.
Yes.
And there's rules, the Second Amendment, all that stuff. But every time there's a shooting, the gun debate flares up, and it's the same people saying the same thing on
yes.
social media every single time. So what I wanted to do was take the practical side of it, have Melissa come in today and tell us what are the actual rules.
Yeah.
You know, especially in the state of California, like what are the rules for like how you have your guns at home, or what liability do you have if you are a gun owner? And here's what's going to be really interesting, Beck, this is going to be interesting. I want to hear what Melissa has to say about the Second Amendment. I have a feeling that she's got something controversial to tell us about the Second Amendment, what it really means, how it is interpreted from a lawyer's perspective.
Yes.
So she'll probably tell us that. And I think it'll be really interesting to see what she thinks.
Yeah, I am definitely interested to hear more about the rules.
Yeah.
And just knowing your rights as a gun owner, because I think a lot of people get so emotional about the shootings, which obviously is definitely justified, but you know, suddenly sense goes out the window and people kind of forget those little things that
People
they
get
have
crazy.
the right to know.
Beck, how many guns do you have?
I don't have any.
I got two guns right here, son. Nice. Well, by the way, we both have purple on today.
Yep.
And I forgot to mention this, but Elizabeth's story always wears purple.
Well, there we go.
So
We'll
I'm
be
sure
matching.
she'll be dressed in purple. I don't know if Melissa Bobrow will be in purple or not.
Great minds think alike, though.
But
You
I
never know.
highly doubt that Jeffrey Zlotnik will be wearing purple today.
No?
No. I think he will be more likely to be wearing, actually, it could be close to a
was
color
gonna
like you
say.
have, like a dark red.
Okay.
I believe, and I don't know this for a fact because I've actually never met Jeff personally, but he's a friend of a friend, and I've followed him on Facebook, and I've been watching his posts and stuff. He's a meditation instructor.
Yep.
He apparently was a Buddhist monk for years, like in Tibet or something crazy like
Wow.
that. He has this thing called the Meditation Initiative, where he teaches prisoners, children, how to meditate, things along those lines. He and I differ on a couple things, so we'll see how that goes, but should be a really interesting guy.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. He doesn't just talk the talk, he's walked the walk as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Does it all for free, volunteers his time. It's really, really interesting stuff. So I'm looking forward to talking with him, kind of seeing
Yeah.
where he's at. He seems like he's not one of those far out guys who's gonna come in here and be like, yeah, dude, you should just meditate, man. You know, I don't think he's gonna be like that. I think he's gonna be like, no, here's the reason why, you know, we do it. It's practical, we do it in real life. I went and became a monk, I came back to teach people. I think that's what he's gonna say, but we'll see. I don't know.
We'll see, very exciting.
Of course, unfortunately, after that, we'll say bye to Beck.
Yeah.
Ciao for this week because it's real estate debate time.
Yeah, and do you have any special topics for the real estate debate?
Well, renting versus owning is a big one. Really going to be a very interesting program. We've got Sean Cahan co-hosting with me, one of my good buddies in the mortgage business. Bill Morton is one of the agents who will be on, Priscila Rodriguez, and then Steve Brant. So we have a really nice, wide array of different guests. who will be in. And of course, it's always fun to debate stuff, especially when I take on the panel, which I do every time, and they all just sort of attack me, and I go back at them, and it's a good time. But I think today, because we're talking about renting versus buying, it's very applicable. Trulia came out with an article saying that it was actually cheaper to rent than to buy. Now, people in the real estate business don't like to hear that.
No.
So we'll see what they have to say a little bit later in the program. Stick around for Smarter San Diego TV. I'm going to put my jacket on and get the show started right now.
Our next guest on Smarter San Diego TV has the most wins in real estate debate history. She is joined by the principal of Hearst Elementary School. Please welcome the one, the only, Elizabeth Story, and her special guest, Jamie Jorgensen.
Welcome to the show. How you guys doing?
Wonderful.
Good, thank you.
It is Red Ribbon Week. Yes. And Jamie, you are very red today.
Yes,
As a result
all
of that.
week.
All week. All week with this red, huh?
All week.
Well, you look fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. I know you're very busy. There's a lot going on with the school and things like that. And it is a school day, so I really appreciate your time. Elizabeth, thank you for bringing her. This is a great idea. Hearst, a lot of people in the Del Cerro area know about the school, have kids that go to the school. Tell us about Red Ribbon Week and what you're doing all this week.
Well, Hearst really kind of kicks it up a notch for Red Ribbon Week. We actually yesterday had the sheriff's helicopter land on our field. We had SWAT, we had police, and then we do a rotation where the kids really get a chance to talk to all the community helpers. And it's such a fabulous event, and we're one of the only schools in San Diego that gets that opportunity, so we feel really lucky about that.
That's pretty cool. I heard you found your way to the back of a police car, though, unfortunately, at some point along the way.
That's right, that's right. And I think there's pictures out there, too.
Oh, if there are, we're going to find them.
So do we need to bring Melissa in a little early?
Yeah, Melissa. We have a criminal attorney coming on. So, Elizabeth, you were there.
I was there.
Right?
I was.
Tell us about this thing.
I am a parent of a student at Hearst Elementary. I'm thrilled to be a parent of a student at Hearst Elementary. As you know, we recently bought a house, and I looked for so long, and I just landed on the neighborhood of Del Cerro because it's one of the places that's still pretty affordable in San Diego County where you can get a decent-sized piece of land and a decent house, but it has an amazing school system, just wonderfully rated schools. I can't say enough good things about Hearst Elementary, the principal and the staff. Everyone's very enthusiastic to be there. But this Red Ribbon Week is really great because there's exercises for the students to increase safety at home. We have an earthquake drill preparedness, fire drill preparedness, worksheets that the kids will be doing all week to learn about safety in the home. And sometimes those are things that you don't think about as a parent. And the other thing that was really great about Red Ribbon Week and meeting all the police officers and the fire people is that from a very young age, kids are taught that these are people that they can trust and look up to, and so they grow with this positive image of those people in their community. And I think that's just a wonderful thing and a wonderful program that Ms. Jorgensen puts on and that the school is so involved in.
How did you get this almost like exclusive deal with this whole setup over there at Hearst?
Well, one of the police sergeants, Blaine Ferguson, is actually was a parent at our school. His kids have now promoted, but because we had that connection, he still continues to give his time and sets this up, which takes many, many hours, and we're just really blessed. I mean, firefighters are there. It's such a wonderful opportunity, and we look at it more as keeping kids safe and Health and Safety Week than as a Say No to Drugs awareness, just because of the age of our kids at the school. But it's great because you're right, the kids then, we really want them to engage with the officers in a positive manner. So when they see someone in a uniform, they're not afraid of them, they know they're there to help, and that they can depend on them. And then they might want to be one of them when they grow up one day.
That's right. Very cool. So it's mostly centered around the idea of being safe. And
Right.
these are the people who help you be safe in the community.
Absolutely.
Community is a really big word for you guys. I know all over your website, everything I've seen about you and the school, the word community is in there a lot. Can you talk to us about that?
Well, we try to involve the community in everything we do. We have a fall festival coming up in November, and We don't call it the Hearst Fall Festival, it's the Del Cerro Fall Festival, and we invite all the schools in our area, we invite all the communities, all the families that live around us, and it is a pretty big festival. It's actually grown over the years, but it's really nice because everyone supports everyone in our community. A lot of the teachers live in the community. It's such a tight-knit group of people. It's great.
And it's important when you're at elementary school age. Everyone's really involved with what's going on. The kids can't do it on their own. The parents kind of need to be involved to a certain degree. So when you can take it to the next level and go beyond that, it can be really, really helpful for the child's experience, especially, but also for the community experience. So I think you guys have done a great job with that.
Right. We have our PTA and foundation. I mean, I've never worked at a school where we have so much parent volunteerism, and it's great. Our foundation raises a lot of money for extra programs, so our kids get dance and they get music and just so many art. The PTA sponsors art, and so we have a pretty incredible art program where the parents actually come in and teach the art. It's not that they're paying somebody else to teach the art, but it's called an art core program, and
that's awesome.
They come in and teach the art, and so it also brings them into the classroom, which makes them feel more part of the school too.
Very, very cool. Well, there's a lot of people who have kids that go to Hearst, or just people who live in the community of Del Cerro who are watching this right now. So is there anything they should know about Hearst that is coming up in the near future, or things that people might not know about the school that you could tell them about right now?
I think it's one of the schools that I've worked at that every teacher, and I can say every single teacher at the school, is on board and does their very, very best for kids at the school. They work really hard. They're excellent teachers. We try to keep that kind of quiet, but we have excellent teachers. In fact, we're kind of known as the public-private school. A lot of people I have to remind people a lot that we are a public school because we do have very involved parents, and sometimes that's a little challenging, but most of the time it's a great thing. And it's just we have it's a safe campus. We were talking about, I did the safety plan the other day with our school police, and they were printing out the crime report within a half a mile of the school, and it was funny because he's like, oh, you don't really have that much crime. We had a little tiny paragraph where other principals were printing out pages
right.
of crime rate in their neighborhood. So that's exciting that it's a safe community. It's clean. We have a partnership on our field with the recreation department. So it's a joint field use. So other people use our field on the weekends and after school, and it's a really nice place to be.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, Jamie, you said it. Location. Elizabeth, turning to the real estate side of things, because that's your area of expertise. And this is a really sought after community for a lot of reasons. Obviously, you saw it yourself. Tell us how a great school like this affects the marketplace.
Well, it drives demand. I mean, parents who have children who are looking to buy houses, they absolutely want to be in a good school district. And I cannot say enough good things about this school. And again, it was one of the big drawing factors for us. Another really great thing about Del Cerro is it's sort of a hidden gem, kind of like Ms. Jorgensen mentioned. We kind of have this little community on the hillside that's very centrally located, but yet kind of tucked back. It's something that you don't see very often, which makes it very unique. And again, it is a very interlocked and involved community where you really would be growing up with people through the years. And so that, from a real estate perspective, it's just a great place to buy if you're looking for a family-friendly neighborhood with a great school district.
That's also a good thing for home sellers too, right? Because
right.
For people who are buying, obviously they get to enjoy all of those things.
Right.
But for home sellers, they get to enjoy those things because that should make the prices stay at least where they're at or go up higher.
And that's a very good point, and I'm glad you mentioned that because I meant to. There's not that much inventory. So if you are thinking of selling, absolutely give me a call, because I do have buyers actively looking who are just kind of waiting for the right property to come on the market. And people do wait for the right property in Del Cerro because it's a community that they know that they want to be in.
For a long time.
Yep. For a long time. And that's right. It's not a community where you're going to come in and out. You're going to be there for a while.
Yeah. Is that what you see too, Jamie?
Families, yeah. A lot of our parents went to Hearst.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
and their parents
Wow.
went to her. So people don't move. Once you move in, you stay.
Well, that is a good sign. A really good sign. I don't know of a better sign than that, in fact, Becca.
I know. Generations there at Hearst Elementary and Del Cerro in general.
Exactly. Well, great stuff. Thank you both so much for being here. Really appreciate your time. This is fantastic. Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else. Commercial free.
Our next guest on Smarter San Diego TV is here for the very first time. Please welcome criminal defense attorney Melissa Bobrow.
Well done. Well done. All right. Good job. Here she is.
Hello.
Melissa Bobrow is here.
Very exciting.
Talk about guns today. Well, not technically guns, but gun laws, let's say. This is a hot topic. Every time there's a shooting or something, I see the same people on Facebook saying the exact same things, arguing with one another. I thought it would be a good idea to actually talk about stuff that was relevant, specifically relevant to the laws of guns, sort of the history of that. So anytime we're dealing with law, you know, there's like federal law, there's state law. The federal law trumps the state law, but sometimes, or whatever it is that's going on. With the federal law in this case, it's the Second Amendment that everyone refers to.
Pretty much.
Right?
That's the big federal law regarding guns, is the Second Amendment.
What does that really tell us? I mean, does it really give us the right to have guns on us at all times?
I think that's a really important question because I do talk about this with people. There are people who are just against guns, and that's just their finite position on it. Then there are people who are gun owners who say things like, I don't want them taking my guns, I have a Second Amendment right to pretty much do whatever with my gun. And the truth is somewhere really in between there. The Second Amendment was written at a time, of course, when guns were very different and they didn't have any automatic weaponry, and you had the one pellet and you had to go back this and reload it. It allowed for the organized militia. That was really what it was for. That was the purpose of the Second Amendment. But there's been case law since then that actually has interpreted the Second Amendment, and I don't know if expanded it is the right word, but it certainly brought it into this generation or century. And in 2008, there was a Supreme Court case. It was out of the District of Columbia, DC versus Heller, and it said that we're going to include the Second Amendment to allow people to bear arms for the protection of themselves. Now, I think that a lot of people, based on that, start to misinterpret what that even means. And I think a lot of the debate actually centers on that argument in particular.
What do you think about the people and the data that supports the fact that where they've created concealed carry or open carry states, the crime rates have gone down a lot? Do you think that has any reality behind it?
I mean, first of all, when any study comes out, anytime there's a study or a survey, I always look at the actual study or survey. The data is wonderful and those numbers are great, but you can always take any study or survey and argue it for whatever your point is, really. So I try to look at, well, who conducted the survey? Who were they funded by? How many people were in this survey? Who was partaking in the survey? Was it just people who are supporting a certain position to start with, or was it a random sampling? So I'm always hesitant because correlation doesn't equal causation, and there's usually more than one factor present when you see an increase or a decrease in crime across the board. I know California does have a concealed carry license. We are a state that has that. I don't know if a lot of people know, especially after Trayvon Martin with Stand Your Ground. California is a stand your ground state. We don't have a duty to retreat. So, California...
Explain that for a second.
Yeah.
Stand your ground. What does that mean?
So in the law, there's the idea of, let's break it down. It's me and you. We're in a bar, right? And we're talking, and things get heated, and you throw a punch at me. I am allowed to defend myself, but only with reasonable force. So I can't now bring out a knife and try and stab you, or I can't break a bottle over your head. But I would be allowed to punch you back because I'm allowed to meet your force.
So
with reasonable
you
force.
can call, basically, as well.
And this is a very simplistic way of looking at it.
Sure.
This isn't, of course, there are more details, and if this were an actual case, we'd be getting into more of the nitty and gritty of it. But as an overall, the duty to retreat is If you're in your home, do you have to first try to get back into your home or make yourself safe? Are there steps you have to take before you can match that force with deadly force or reasonable force? And we don't have the duty to retreat. We don't have something in California that says, hey, if you punch me in the face, I have to first see if I can maybe walk away from the situation, or I have to maybe retreat. I have a duty to retreat. We don't have that in California. We have something that says, I can punch you back in the face. I can't stab you, or I can't raise the level.
But if someone pulls
fight.
a gun or
now,
shoots
if someone
at me,
pulls a gun, right, and then we get into issues of, well, what if someone's in my home? Can I shoot them? And I think that concept is something that gun supporters love, right? That if someone's in my home, I have the right to protect my home. And it's something that people who are against guns, that argument flips them out, right? I mean, it really, what if your teenager's coming home at 2 a.m. and you shoot them by mistake? And the reality is you can't shoot someone to protect your property. So if someone comes into your home at any time of day uninvited, and they're there to steal something, you don't get to shoot them.
Really?
Yeah, you can't just
So
shoot
if they're
someone
like-
because they're in your home when they shouldn't be.
So someone comes into my house and they're rooting through the jewelry box,
Right,
but they're leaving me alone.
right.
I can't shoot them.
You're not allowed to just shoot someone to protect your property. You can shoot someone to protect yourself. If you believe,
So I can point my gun at them and I can say, get out of my house. And then if they come at me and I feel endangered, I can shoot them.
well, I would take the case. I would certainly take the case. But it has to, the question is what's reasonable force in that situation? And if you aren't in imminent meaning immediate danger. In other words, there's a guy coming at you and you really truly believe that he's going to kill you or seriously harm you unless you shoot him. You can't just shoot people just because they're doing something that you don't want them to be doing, even if it's illegal. It's not about, it's not the vigilante, statute that I think a lot of gun supporters think it is. It's not this idea of someone's breaking the law in my home, now I can shoot them because they're in my home.
It's not Texas.
Right.
You don't get to shoot them as soon as they step on your
Right.
property.
It's not like we've crossed this invisible boundary and now I can shoot them because I don't want them here. And look, they're taking my jewelry. Now I can definitely shoot them. No, it's if you are afraid that they're going to harm you or your family, or you're allowed to protect yourself or others, but you're not allowed to protect property with deadly force.
With deadly force.
And keep in mind, the deadly force has to also be justified. So if there's someone in your home, middle of the night, it's very scary, you're afraid, but they're going through your jewelry box, you're afraid, of course. You're afraid that's your grandmother's ring, you'll never get it back, but your life isn't in jeopardy, and your family's life isn't in jeopardy. So you can't just shoot somebody.
Wow, that's like the Buddha law.
That's
Rebecca,
Yeah.
did you know that?
I mean, I didn't know that. No, I thought if someone came into your house, it was fair game. But that definitely makes a lot more sense. It's
Wow.
fair.
Right. It's the idea that, of course, that doesn't mean someone gets to come into your house and take your jewelry. I mean, you're allowed to fight them off, but it's just the difference between deadly force and force.
Wow, this is huge. I don't think a lot of people know this, especially people who are gun owners. They think that you do have the green light when that situation happens. Wow.
And I think
really
that's what also
interesting.
makes a lot of people who aren't in favor of guns very nervous. The idea of, that concept of, what if your kid's coming home late at night, right? What if you have a teenager who snuck out and now you hear a noise and the first thing you do is you bring your gun down there because you think if there's someone here, I can shoot him. And, it's something that makes people nervous.
Makes sense. Now I have some obscure questions for you that I'm sure you'll have to answer obscurely as well.
All right, let's do it.
But I know you won't be obtuse with me. So let's say, because there's really tough laws about how you even transport guns or how you have them in your home in the state of California. You have to have them under lock and key. They can't be out. I was just curious, if someone has their guns stored improperly, does that immediately make them liable for anything that takes place? In other words, if I didn't have the little lock and key thing on my gun and my 15-year-old son grabs the gun to show his friends and shoots one of them in the head or something like that, am I now liable, even though my son probably could have figured out how to take the thing off anyway? Do you have to follow those laws so that you can remove that liability from yourself? Is that the idea?
If you're a gun owner and you're a responsible gun owner and we can trust you with having, it's a weapon, there's no other way to put it, it's a weapon, it's used to kill, we're trusting you that you're going to take proper precautions, that you're going to keep it locked away appropriately. Now, if you have a teenager or just anyone else in the house, it could be an aiding and abetting theory. Do you know this person might want to get a hold of your gun. You know this kid's got a temper. I mean, I could see how a prosecutor could come up with charges and a way of charging a person with it. Are there defenses? Absolutely. But could charges be brought in the first place? Yes. You could potentially be held liable.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that there are certain states where, let's say your gun is stolen or missing for either your own fault or through someone else's fault. California doesn't have a duty to report. There are a lot of states that have a duty to report that within 48 hours. And it's 48 hours from either when you know it was missing or you should have known. In other words, you know, you keep your gun locked in a safe and you check it about once a week, just make sure everything's cool with it. And you checked it or you failed to check it that week. It's like, oh, that might be held to the you should have known standard, even though you maybe didn't check it that week. It might be. But yeah, we don't have a duty to report that in California.
That's really interesting.
So it would be a misdemeanor in other states, but here we don't have that. But dovetailing into what you were asking before, should you report it?
Right.
Why not? Why wouldn't you? If your gun is lost or stolen or missing or anything.
So it turns up to be, you know,
why wouldn't
a crime, and they find it and they trace it back to you, you're gonna have a lot of explaining to do.
Exactly. Now you're almost putting yourself in a position of saying, well, I hope nothing happens with my gun while I don't know where it is.
Right.
The first person that they're going to come to is the registered gun owner. Because they should. That should be where the investigation starts.
Hopefully you will have been in a place where the crime took place, where there were lots of people who saw you, but
right,
maybe you were at home alone watching movies. That's not going to be good. So
it's to help yourself. In a situation like that, you're not going to get in trouble with law enforcement for not reporting it stolen, especially if nothing comes of it. But why not report it? Why not take that extra step and just make sure you're out of it?
Makes tons of sense. Yeah. Melissa Bobrow, thank you so much for coming in today. Criminal defense attorney. Congratulations on the big insurance case, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Great stuff. All right, stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.
On Smarter San Diego TV is the founder of the Meditation Initiative. Please welcome Jeffrey Zlotnik.
Jeffrey, what's up, man?
How you doing?
How are you doing, brother?
I'm well. Thanks for having me.
I've been following you on Facebook for a while.
Yes.
Ever since you were on Anthony's show.
Yes.
And I'm a meditator too,
Excellent.
by the way. So the Meditation Initiative, I want to talk about that today, definitely.
Yes.
Really, really cool stuff. But I'd like for people to know, and I'd like to know a little bit about your background. Like, where are you from? How'd you get here?
Yeah, so born in Chicago. Came here when I was 4 years old. Grew up in San Diego, Del Cerro. My parents are still there. And went to Patrick Henry, went to college in U of A in Tucson. And got into meditation when I was 20. Grew up kind of an angry, depressed kid. And a psych professor said, you should try some meditation. This is 20 years ago. I didn't know what it was. It seemed like some kind of weird stuff, but nothing else was healthy and free. So I started to do meditation in my life 20 years ago. And it helped me a lot. So I started working in group homes, counseling adolescents who'd been abused when I was 20 years old. They were 15, 16-year-old kids, and started to share the meditation practice with them. And it just kind of took off from there and eventually evolved into what we'll get to with the Meditation Initiative. But
yeah, I mean, I was going to say, through the initiative, you're getting out there and you're working with kids in schools.
Yes.
You're working with prisoners.
Yes. I started going into prisons in 2003 here in San Diego. 2007, I found myself in probably 25, 30 places a week. Schools, prisons, hospitals, cancer clinics, victims of abuse, domestic violence, Catholic charities, Christian youth groups. I spent the last 6 years in the wounded warrior population, 3 different military facilities, hospitals and military bases. And so in 2009, I founded as a 501c3 educational nonprofit, the Meditation Initiative, to basically introduce meditation to everyone for free. So I sit with thousands of people a year and get them to do absolutely nothing for 5 minutes for free. That's it. Yeah,
That's
it's
it.
great.
All right.
It's really simple.
That's a wrap.
That's basically our mission.
Thanks for watching Smarter San Diego TV.
That's it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So I think for a lot of people, they hear the word meditation and they think something
Yes.
that may not be what it actually is.
Right.
So how would you describe what meditation is?
Well, to me, meditation is an intense level of concentration and focus. And I think one of the guys in the military summed it up perfectly. He was a Marine, and he said, thank you for demystifying the practice of meditation, meaning that the word meditation does mean so many things to so many people. And for us, and kind of the TMI, the Meditation Initiative methodology, is we get people to understand that it's just sitting, breathing, and attempting to concentrate and focus on the present moment, not getting wrapped up in the past with, anger and sadness and depression, and not roaming too much to the future with stress and anxiety and fears and worries, but just learning to take a few minutes to stop and breathe and keeping it very simple.
Sort of trying to just re-access that present moment, that natural state, because we've all experienced a certain euphoria in life at one time or another. It could have been for seemingly no reason.
Right.
We're just having a good day.
Yes.
We were just really happy.
Yes.
And usually someone tries to bring you down when that happens,
Right.
But when you're having that great day, and you're just cheery, and you're like, oh, this is amazing, and you're totally present. And that's really what's happening.
Yes.
Is you're just totally present. But people don't see it that way. No. They constantly look for a reason. Why am I happy?
Right.
What is there to be happy about? And sometimes they bum themselves out.
Right.
Because they're like, oh man, I actually don't have anything to really be that happy about.
Yeah, and often if you just stop trying to seek or crave or look for anything around you to be happy, if you just stop and breathe, you realize that everything you need to be happy is right there.
Becca, do you have a question for Jeff?
Yes, I've actually started doing a little meditation myself. And I'm interested to find out what people should be aware of when they are meditating. For me, I just recently learned that it's my breathing.
Yes.
I breathe very quickly. Very short, quick breaths, which is a no-no apparently.
Well, sure, okay. Yeah, I first of all, I wouldn't look at anything as being a no-no, to quote you, right? I think important in learning to, when you begin to learn meditation, is to just become aware of what happens to you. How is your breath? What are the sounds around you? What are your thoughts? Not trying to escape to anything. Because that's what we do all day long. We're turning and trying to find something to escape to, looking for something else. So I think at the very beginning stages of meditation, it's just learning to sit and breathe. And if you take a lot of very short, quick breaths, be aware of that. And if your mind wanders a lot, be aware of that. And if there's sounds around you, be aware of that. Not trying to escape from any of that.
Okay.
Which is great advice, because, and what you mean by that is, if you notice that you keep thinking about the future,
right,
or you keep thinking about what happened that day at work, don't be mad at yourself for that.
Right.
That's not interrupting your meditation. That sort of is your meditation.
Correct.
So it's okay, but just recognizing it is the whole goal.
Yes.
It's like, oh, I'm thinking about the past right now.
Yes.
Just recognizing it.
I've been doing this 20 years, every day, probably 12, 13 years, and I always say my mind is still a mess. So we all have that to look forward to. And it's exactly that. It's recognizing that the mind wanders and learning to come back to the breath, but realizing that the mind wandering is not the problem. When we go through our day and our mind wanders to anger, the wandering thought to anger is not the problem. The problem is when our mind wanders to anger, what do we then do with the anger? Do we act on that anger, or do we recognize the anger and just come back to the present moment? And so really meditation is not about being good at meditation, kind of going back to your question. It's not about being good at meditation. It's about learning to take a level of clarity, a level of focus, a level of stillness into everything you're doing already in your life.
Simply acknowledging reality exactly it is right here, right now.
Well, yes. There's no reason I even need to be sitting here. You already understand.
I think it's great to have you here. The Meditation Initiative is huge.
It's gotten quite big over the years, yes. Formally, like I said, founded in 2009, but for me, really the last 12 years. And I can't even handle all of the requests that we get from around the country for people to bring the meditation into their environment.
How can we help you with that? Is there anything we can do?
Practice meditation. I think that's the best thing. I mean, our website, meditationinitiative.org, it has on the top right, it has a TEDx youth talk I did the last 3 years, 3, 4, 5 years ago, where I sat with about 400 kids. And did a 5-minute meditation with them. So to me, always the best thing when people say, how can I help the Meditation Initiative, is start a meditation practice. That's really the essence of the mission behind our work, is to get everybody to just sit and do 5 minutes of meditation every day. So the best way you can help us is do a meditation practice.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's so neat. Have you ever had the desire to go be a monk or something, run off to Nepal and
somewhere, right?
Practice meditation with these gurus, and all this stuff like that?
I think everybody has that desire at some point in time, but I think it's important to realize that even once you get there and you do your practice, if you do that, the mind that you have, the angry mind, the crazy mind, the stressed out mind, it's going to be with you here. And if you go sit in a mountaintop in Nepal, what's there is your same angry, stressed out mind. So it sounds like this very romantic idea and romantic fantasy of I'm going to escape from my life and go sit in a mountain somewhere. But the reality is learning to be quiet and still and peaceful in everyday life, to me, is what's most important.
And actually probably better practice, because you have, it's
Right.
easy to go into Big Bear and be in a cabin for the weekend and relax and
Right.
be quiet and meditate a bunch and read and feel great,
Yes.
right? That's easy. Anyone can do that.
And then
Yeah.
2 days later, you're back to your job on Monday,
Right.
and that's where you
Yeah.
have to bring the practice into reality. So I think retreats, are wonderful. I think finding groups to sit with on a regular basis are very beneficial and very helpful to kind of keep you motivated and inspired to meditate, because it's something that if it's new to you, it's very difficult to create new habits. So I think finding others to meditate with does definitely help keep you motivated, like having a partner to work out of the gym with or something like that.
Totally agree.
Definitely, yeah.
So do you do that with the meditation initiative?
Do I have
Groups like meetups or anything?
You know,
like
the
that?
main thing we do now, I always say, is it's client-side based, because we don't have our own actual physical location, which I think someday we will, but right now we don't. Everything is either at a prison or at a school or at a military base somewhere. So it's not right now where anybody can just drop in, but hopefully soon we'll set up, even if it's just once a month. We've talked about maybe North County, San Diego, doing a monthly meditation somewhere, free and open to all. We've done that in the past at places like San Diego Library. Being a nice Jewish kid from Del Cerro, I've been able to lead meditations at 2 different temples around San Diego. But we really need to set up just kind of an open free one that people can drop in on. So I promise as soon as we set that up, you'll be the first to know.
Okay, that'd
Yeah.
be great. I'd love
Yeah.
to tell people about it and share it with people, because
Absolutely.
I think it's, for me personally, I've been practicing meditation for just a few years now,
Sure.
2 to 3 years. I was one of those people who was like, oh gosh, my buddy, he was coming to stay with us,
Right.
and he was like, and while I'm there, I want to show you a meditation. I was like, oh
Yeah,
gosh,
that's the worst.
Andy, come on. And then he comes, and then one day we were sitting around, we literally had nothing to do. I had
Right.
no excuse.
Right.
And he was like, you guys want to try that meditation?
Yeah.
No. I was like, fine. And in 10 minutes, I can't tell you how amazing it was
Right.
for me. That just immediately, because I'm a busy-minded guy,
Sure.
I have a lot going on.
Sure.
And to be able to sort of quiet that down with the simple mantra that we
Right.
used. I mean, he was just, so hum-nema was the
Sure.
one, I'll never forget it.
Sure.
And in 10 minutes, I had a really amazing experience. And that experience was actually coming back to the present moment and not worrying about all that other stuff.
Right.
But it felt amazing.
Right.
It made me feel great.
People always ask me, how do you get someone else to meditate? And I always say, you don't. The best way for me, I'm not a guy out there pushing it, and people always come to me. My best buddy, Dave, he lives in Philadelphia, and I went out to visit a while back, and his wife, they've got 2 kids, and she said, can you help me learn how to meditate so I can do this with my kid? And to me, that's what I want, is not me going out there, like your buddy's like, okay, we're locked in a room alone, you're stuck, you got no other choice now, right? Because I think people find it in their lives when they're ready for it. When they realize that their levels of stress and anxiety is so severe.
This is it.
This is it.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
Jeff, thanks so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me on.
Really
It's a pleasure.
appreciate your time.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Check out the meditationinitiative.org, and the goal, just meditate. Do that. Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free. Welcome to the Real Estate Debate, where we debate the hottest topics in San Diego real estate and guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else. Let's meet today's panelists.
Hello everyone, my name is Priscila Rodriguez and I'm your San Diego property matchmaker with Manalo Realty.
Hi, my name is Steve Brant. I'm a downtown San Diego broker with Keller Williams International. I run a team called Brant Regency Estates and Homes, and I just want to remind everyone that the camera does add 10 pounds, so I'm much slimmer in person.
I am Sean Cahan with Cornerstone Mortgage Group, and I'm your mortgage geek.
Hi, I'm Bill Morton. I'm with Century 21 Award in Mission Valley.
All right, it's time for the Real Estate Debate for TV. Mr. Cahan, my co-host, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you doing today?
Great to have you here. The mortgage geek, Sean Cahan, is here.
All right.
A little bit different format than on the radio, here on TV for the Real Estate Debate, but the same ideas. Great real estate content, great real estate discussions you can't get anywhere else. So let's jump right in to agree or disagree. All right. Our panelists today will tell us whether they agree or disagree with the given statement and defend their position. The article that we're referencing said that renting is actually better than buying in San Diego. So today's statement is, with home values in San Diego near record highs, it probably makes more sense to rent than it does to buy for most people. Steve?
I would love to jump in on this. A couple things I want to point out. One, I reference back to 2005 because that's when we had the height of the market for San Diego. The affordability index back then was 11%. The affordability index now is 26%, which is still a little low. You really want that to be closer to 50%. That's an equal market. But I still think it depends on where you are located in the county, because if you're paying rent more than what a mortgage payment would be, you should be buying.
Okay. Plain and simple.
Plain and simple.
Just keep it simple, huh?
Keep it simple, because you also have the mortgage deduction, the tax deduction, which Sean can talk about.
Yeah,
too.
what do you think about that, Sean?
I mean, I think that's a perfect statement. Not always just, even dollar to dollar out of pocket. We always want to take into consideration like amortization schedules, tax savings, just all in all. Yes, when you buy an asset, you're going to be spending a little bit more money, but is it reasonable? And so that's what we kind of look at it.
Okay, so see what the difference is potentially if the mortgage payment's more, and then see if that amount of extra money is worth the investment into the property.
I think a lot of people look at the home as more like, oh, this is my house. Well, let's also look at it as an asset. It's an asset. It's the same thing as putting money into a 401k. A 401k starts at 0 and goes up. A mortgage, I'm giving you $400,000 and you're going to pay it off.
Yeah, makes sense. Bill, what do you think about what Trulia had to say on this?
I disagree with Trulia.
Just in general?
Just in general. and maybe Zillow, we'll get into that later. But I definitely think it is a good time to buy. I foresee, and actually, the numbers actually still show it. Rents are going to continue to rise.
True.
The only way to stop it is to purchase a property and stop that threshold from rising.
Yeah.
And right now is the time to do it. Especially right now because we're encroaching in the holidays and the numbers are down a little bit, just a little bit for the buyers. But that's a good thing for the buyers because they can get out there and purchase a property and not have quite the competition that you will during the peak season.
Yeah, makes sense. I actually wrote an article, I just remember this, for the Union Tribune real estate section, and it was called Buying a Home is a Hedge and Not an Investment. And the concept was just what you said, was to protect yourself from having to deal with the ups and downs of rents, because you really don't know what's happening with them, but they've gone up a lot in recent history, so good stuff.
Well, you're either paying your mortgage or someone else's mortgage.
That's true.
So you can take a look at that. And it also depends if you're going to be long-term player in the market. If you're saying, I'm only going to be in San Diego for a year or two, probably better to rent. But if you're thinking you're going to be here for any length of time, like I would say over 5 years, you should be buying.
Okay. Priscilla? Time to jump in.
Thank you. Yeah, I would agree. If you're thinking about purchasing, it's definitely something long-term. If you want to rent, it's a short-term mentality where, you're just looking at that payment today, what is cheaper. When you're buying a home, you are also buying an asset. We're also counting on that appreciation growth and the tax benefits that you would get in the pride of ownership as well, not to forget, when you do own a home versus renting, I believe.
Okay. Well, I think the concept behind the article of it being cheaper to rent versus buy is kind of usually the case. I mean, it's just on a dollar for dollar basis, money out of pocket. It's anyone can go get a lease somewhere and pay a couple $1,000 and rent a place. But not everyone can qualify to buy because you have to qualify for a loan.
Correct.
You have to have money to put down, although that's been decreasing a lot lately. Sean, let me ask you this question, because this is the thing that I think is really interesting about this market today. A lot of people think it's inflated, but money. If money is easy to get, we always see prices go up. The easier money is for people to borrow, the higher prices go. Right now, do you think money is getting easier for people to get, to borrow?
Absolutely.
In what way?
No question.
Like in programs or just down payments or both?
Well, I mean, down payments have only changed a little bit. 2014, I think. 2013, I think they got rid of the 3% down conventional, and then they brought it back, right? But only for first-time home buyers. So that has, and then the really kind of like the 95% market has always been there for first and seconds. But it's more of like the restrictions and the guides that have kind of gotten a little bit looser. Fannie Mae's, not requiring any 30% equity in your property, no 2055 to base the value of the 30% to make sure that you can qualify for this payment and the other one, right? So you can offset it with a lease now.
Which is amazing. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's a loose guideline change that people don't really see. They just kind of gloss over it.
With 2106 expense, Fannie Mae got rid of all 2106 against your income. That would happen in July, so that was huge, right?
That's another huge one.
And now a lot of the banks are not always accepting it because, on a buyback system, but like our bank, yes. I mean, we follow it to a T. So that was huge. I mean, a lot of borrowers didn't even know that they were writing off 2106 expense, right? And they're like, what is it? I'm like, well, your income just got decreased by $10,000, you know? So, and then Freddie Mac is coming out with some cool changes too.
So you think it's definitely gotten looser. It sounds like there's a lot there that has changed, that has made lending looser, and that in itself kind of tips us off to
I think it's driving.
What's happening. Yeah, it's sort of driving the market right now and keeping it buoyed. All right, that means it's time for topic number 2. Time for hot or not so hot. So each contestant will tell us about a specific area in San Diego which they believe is either hot or not so hot. Bill, we'll start with you.
I like North Claremont. The numbers have slowed down, but they were extremely strong up until August. Right now we're seeing 43 to 45 pendings as well as properties that are active. Very low compared to the amount of properties that are there. I just actually opened escrow in regards to a property for a flipper, and he's actually looking for more properties to buy. So if anybody has any properties that they're looking to sell that might be a little bit dilapidated and they just want to walk away from them, I have lots and lots of buyers looking to purchase in that area.
Okay, North Claremont.
North Claremont.
Okay, big area.
I think Rancho Santa Fe is not so hot right now.
Not so hot.
Not so hot.
RSF, not so
I know.
hot?
Can you believe that?
All right.
So I went through and took a look at some numbers. That's how I came up with that, because I saw that there was a ton of expireds, canceled, and withdrawns. And what that means is that the property was put on the market and then failed to sell for whatever reason. Then I looked back and I went back, well, let me go back to 2005 when numbers were supposed to be so great.
Right.
The difference in price point is that we're the average price point in that area was about 2.7 million. Right now it's about 2.2. So you're down about 500,000. You're up in days on market in that area by around 20 to 40%. The inventory that's being sold is down. The inventory that's on the market is up. So you have all these little factors that are playing together. And then I looked at downtown, because that's where my home turf is, where I do most of my business. And downtown between 2005 and 2015, we're way up. We're up almost $200,000 per unit. Price point, and the average number of sales is, I think we had 596 units in the last 6 months, and in 2005 it was 493. So we're way up.
So a lot of transactions taking place.
Hot in downtown San Diego, and then I looked at Rancho Santa Fe. I'm like, why is it so slow up there? And I just think that price point of being 1.5 to 1.8 million, we just don't have a ton of buyers yet that are in San Diego that are buying at that price point.
Okay.
And then they're also competing with a lot of other high-end areas.
Yeah, if you're spending $1.5 million, you got a lot of options.
You got a lot of options in San Diego.
Priscilla?
I would say what's hot right now is still Eastlake, Chula Vista, where I focus on. We are still down 15 to 20%. I know that since I definitely have my property on the market right now, and at the peak in 2005 it sold for $950, and right now it's listed at $775. So I know, I almost feel like maybe I should still hold on to it for another couple of years until that market just corrects itself, but timing is everything. So I will have to say overall, South Bay, and especially in the east, newer area where we have Eastlake Greens, Otay Ranch, that was built at the peak. So we were slammed, meaning that we still have a lot of equity growth that still is there and ready, for the people that are ready to buy right now.
Okay, so that says something, when you have your own house for sale, right? I mean, that tells you something.
I got a question for you, Steve. Okay, great answer. Okay, you say that downtown is a hot market.
Yes, sir.
Is there a specific dollar amount? Because some of the research that I've done in the $1.3 million in uprange downtown has not been so hot.
I'm glad you asked that question, because there's going to be an interesting test that's going to go on probably starting in November. And the reason why I say that is because there's a new building that's coming on the market right around that time. It's called the Pacific Gate. If anyone's interested in information on that, I can provide that to you. But it's called the Super Luxury, and it's one of the few, it's the only one we have in San Diego. It's one of the few that we even have on the West Coast. And the starting price points are going to be at $1 million, and that's for the one bedrooms. So that will be
$1,000 a square foot, right?
A little bit. They haven't declared yet, but they might even go north of that.
Okay.
Which would be amazing for downtown San Diego and help to dictate what the rest of the market might do downtown.
Good question, Sean.
Good question.
We should get the sock cam going at some point
He's
today.
got
'Cause Sean, let's see those socks. Get them up, man. There they are.
Very nice.
Kaboom! Sock cam action happening right here.
That's a loan geek right there.
That's
yeah.
Mortgage geek.
Mortgage geek.
Mortgage geek. Yeah, we're not talking about payday loans and all that stuff. Mortgage geek. All right. Let's get to hostility versus the host. This is the segment where our panelists have the chance to attack me in an attempt to defy my grievance with the world of real estate. Today, I'd like to air my concerns about Zillow.com. Not just that Zillow is providing bad information, but they are being supported financially by many agents in the marketplace. Please tell me how an agent could justify supporting an organization that purposely generates inaccurate information for consumers in the name of profit. Anyone want to take that one?
Wow, it's a hot topic you brought up. I am going to take that on.
Take it.
I don't agree 100% with your position. I do think Zillow is full of very sharp people. I don't think their information is necessarily that accurate, so you're right on that point. But I do think they have opened up the market to a lot more information that was being before than what was being presented by, let's say, Realtor.com or other online entities. So for that, I'm glad that they are opening the market with more information, because I think as realtors, we need to focus on what's best for the consumer and how can we get more information to them. So I'd like to see us take a stronger role in that. But with Zillow, I think it's going to be an uphill battle. And I think it's strange that you do see agents funding a cause that I don't know where that's going to lead to for us as an industry. And ultimately, consumers benefit when there is someone that they can turn to for advice. And if that turns to some central body that's not in the market, it's going to have a hard time really explaining what's going on.
Yeah, and that's kind of the way I feel about it right now. Priscilla, what do you think?
I think right now there's a paradigm shift in a lot of businesses, and in our industry it's getting that through Zillow and Trillia. We have the taxi and the Uber, we have the hotels and the Airbnb. So I almost feel like when it comes to Zillow and Trillia that are now at our forefront, as agents we have to kind of be where the consumers are, and the consumers are right now on Zillow. They had to go on to Realtor.com to look at properties. They had no other option. Now they love going to Zillow. They love going to Trillia, meaning that, I used to spend time putting people on drip search on the MLS. Now I'm getting emails from Trillia and Zillow, meaning that I have to go to that source, see where they're picking up that information. Are they ever going to not need agents or not need our service? That's not going to be an issue, but I just think if they made the platform more consumer based, then that's kind of where we're going to have to go to.
I think there are some major changes to be had, but going back into Zillow, the amazing thing is we get a lot of agents, they hate it. However,
are you one of those agents, Bill?
Actually, I don't hate it. I love Zillow for one fact. It puts consumers with agents.
Okay.
Its information is inaccurate. We know, everybody knows the Zestimate is inaccurate. I don't know if it's been said, but it's basically based on an algorithm. Zillow sells that information to agents. Because Zillow promises a certain amount of leads, basically, or exposures to their platform, they adjust the algorithm so agents can get those views. So the Zestimate is definitely inaccurate. However, the good part about Zillow is it puts the consumer in contact with agents, which is always good. And as long as you get a great agent that is pro-consumer, they're going to work very, very hard for you and find you a property at a great deal.
Yeah, okay. All right. Sean?
Oh, man.
I can't let you off the hook again.
I have a huge opinion about this.
Please tell us.
Let's hear it.
It is a consumer safe haven. They go there, they trust it, they feel comfortable with it. It's very easy to use. Before Zillow, before Trillia, before Redfin, what did you have? MLS? Nope, couldn't access it. Realtor.com? Nope, couldn't access it. Go on to someone's webpage, oh, maybe they only had 8 or 10 listings. They didn't have access. It's a consumer safe. Okay, yeah, the estimates are not right, but guess what? It makes them feel better, so it doesn't really matter. Now, second, agents funding Zillow. How else are they supposed to fund it? How else are they supposed to bring out the new technology if they don't have people funding it? So if you don't like it, then don't be on Zillow. If you like it and you support it, even if you don't like it. So if you're going on there and only wanting to spend $500 a month on, as you can tell, I really have an opinion about it.
Oh, no, I love it.
If you want to go on there and only spend $500 a month and give it a 6-month crack and you don't follow up on your leads, guess what? You're not going to close anything. Okay? That's the same thing as paper mail. If you only want to do $1,000 on a farm of 500 people and you want to do it for 6 weeks, well, why don't you just give me the money for free? Because you didn't do anything. It takes longevity. It takes follow-up, right? And so Zillow is just another place. Truly, it's a great place. I mean, I pump a ton of stuff in there. I'm #1 on Zillow for the lowest jumbo rates. But guess what? Now we've stuck in there. I mean, we're getting a lot of applications.
Really?
If you guys saw how many actual closings that I'm getting directly from Zillow, you guys would be, shocked. But we have a follow-up. You have to make contact within 5 minutes. It's working. It's working very, very well because consumers love it.
That's good stuff. Really good stuff. So different opinions on Zillow. No, I think that's great because you're right. It is a consumer safe haven, and the consumer feels safe there. And are they really going to get harmed there? Maybe they won't get harmed there. They're not going to go there and make a bad deal, but they are going to go there and potentially get bad information that might disappoint them or something like that with regard to properties that are for sale or not for sale and that type of thing. But they're not going to get harmed. So it's probably not, at the end of the day, it is probably a net positive if you're able to connect those consumers with the right people in the marketplace.
It can be a time waster though. That to me is the big rub that I have with it, because I have to set up a separate search outside of Zillow. Even if someone's looking at Zillow, I said, you can look at those properties, but the ones that I'm sending you are the actual ones that are available that fit your criteria. And so a lot of times they'll say, well, I'm looking at this one at Zillow, and then we'll find out that it's either off the market, wasn't listed, was someone trying to
sold a year ago,
that kind of thing. So
they're excited. Your clients are excited. They want to be hands-on. I've come to realize.
No, I love that too.
Yeah.
I love the fact that they are doing that. But what I'm saying is that you want to have, when someone's looking for a house, they could spend 8 hours in the car with me, or we could go to the 4 properties that specifically meet their criteria.
Yeah.
And I'm a fun guy to spend time with, but I'm sure they would rather spend the time just going directly to those 4 properties. And so the whole Zillow, I mean, I love the consumer has access, but I think Realtor.com has gotten their act together, and they've started to open up all the data. So the same data that you're seeing on Zillow is available at Realtor.com and other portals. Even our website has the exact same MLS information that you'll see on Zillow, and statistics and data for the community. So I think there's a information equilibrium out there. They just happen to be the big dogs on the market that are spending the money.
Okay.
But it's not equal.
How so?
Well, the MLS is not posting all their information on Trulia or Zillow anymore because they went over to Zillow or Realtor.com, because the owner of Realtor.com has a portion of Sandicor right now, and so they actually blocked them out, and all the information now is going over. So it's costing Zillow and Trulia more money right now and getting access to getting that information. They used to forward it automatically in there, so it's not equal anymore.
Well, because the whole point was that agents were able to advertise their property, and Zillow was hijacking those listings and selling those listings off to other agents. So that's why they did that. They didn't do it because they don't want to limit the information to the consumer. They want to do the opposite. They want to make sure the consumer has all the data and all the listings. But when you're hijacking that listing from someone, that's not fair.
Woo! That's the real estate debate. You are now smarter than everyone else. Thanks for watching right here, and go to therealestatedebate.com for past episodes. Steve, thanks for coming today, man.
It's been a pleasure.
Really appreciate your time. Priscilla, thank you so much for coming today. Bill, thanks for coming in. Sean, Mortgage Geek Sean, thanks for coming in, man. Really appreciate your time. All right, that's it. Hey, great show, guys. That's a wrap. Jade, what's your schedule look like? Do you mind breaking down the set?
Not today, Derek. I'd love to, but there's waves out there. I gotta go. Angela? Nikki?
Yeah, I gotta go beat traffic. And I think Nikki's making something up there.
Look at this. We did this. We did all of this.